Buckle in, it's gonna be a long ride. My, female 48, husband Randall, 50, have been together for 14 years. Randall has 4 children, 2 sons, Kyle, 26, Alex, 24, and 2 daughters, Savannah, 21, and Cassandra, 20. It's important that y'all know, as we get into this, that the oldest and the youngest are not his, biologically, but he raised them as if they were. When Randall and I first got together, 3 of his children were in elementary school, and the oldest was in middle school. They really didn't take to me at first, as they wanted their parents to be together like any child would. I completely understood, and I gave them plenty of time to spend with their father when we were with them. I'd busy myself with shopping or visiting my own family. Eventually, we bonded and began spending time together. I'd do birthdays and holidays big for them, and got to where we would go and do things on our own when my husband had to work, and he's always worked a lot. Here's my issue. Over the last several years now, they've adopted this sense of entitlement towards us, but mainly their father. When we go into town to visit, we live 5 hours away. They'll rarely make the effort to spend any time with us, so we typically end up doing things on our own and then coming back home. Lately, we are of the mindset that we shouldn't have to drop everything and go to them every time anymore, especially when we know that most times they're not going to show up. And they're adults. If they want to see us, they can make a trip to where we live. These days, their phone calls consist of asking for money for gas, groceries, to hang out with friends, or to help fund their trips with their mom. Randall used to send money for everything they would ask for, but now has begun to say no, and to really put his foot down. He's told them that they need to work for the things that they want, and that everything is not always going to be handed to them. Anytime he says no, or that we can't help right now, it's the silent treatment for weeks, and sometimes months. We're coming to the part where I'm questioning myself and my decision to cancel their vacation. Early fall 2022, Kyle told us that he and his girlfriend were expecting a baby. We didn't even know he had a girlfriend. And he doesn't think he wants Randall to be a part of his baby's life because he isn't Kyle's biological father. What? This man raised this boy from 8 months old and did everything that a father should do, but he's not good enough to be a grandpa? But he said he'd let us know. So we proceeded through birthdays and the holidays, and of course, I went all out as per usual. Now, right after the new year, I received a phone call from Kyle asking me if Dad and I could help fund their baby shower. It would go towards food, decorations, and the venue. I said yes, and I went ahead and sent him the money, and he told me that in a week or so, he'd give me all the details of the baby shower and to expect the invitation in the mail. About an hour later, Randall calls me and says that Kyle called and asked him if we could help fund their baby shower, and Randall sent him money too. Randall was furious that he took us both for money, but he left it alone, and we didn't hear from any of the kids after that. Mid-March comes along, and we're visiting with my husband's family when his sister-in-law asked why we didn't go to the baby shower the previous weekend. Because we didn't know about it? We were stunned, to say the least. Then, his sister-in-law dropped another bomb on us. The baby was born the day before the shower. Come to find out, all 4 kids and their mother agreed to not invite us to the baby shower, or to even let us know that the baby was born. They needed just the money. To say that I was livid would be an understatement. I sent Kyle a message a couple of days later and told him that it's one thing not to invite us to the shower, but to not let us know about the baby was heartbreaking. I told him that I hoped they'd had a great time and that they were gifted everything that they needed. I congratulated him on the birth of his son and that I hope he's healthy and adored. My husband sent a similar message. We've yet to hear back from him, and we're headed into mid-June. So after a conversation between myself and my husband, and the fact that I paid for the entire trip on my own, we decided to cancel their tickets for what was supposed to be our family vacation. I got a partial refund for some of the reservations that I had made, but that's okay. I'll take the loss. Last week, we got a call from the other 3, asking what dates they needed to plan for and what they should pack, and let them know that I canceled their tickets, so they didn't need to worry about it after all. They were angry and had some choice words. I honestly feel like it's the best decision we could have made. But am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Tell them the vacation money funded the baby shower. Hope they enjoyed. Stop being their ATM. Not the a-hole. Enjoy your trip, and maybe start looking into wills and inheritance issues. Not the a-hole. That's horrible behavior. It's ungrateful and disrespectful to say the very least. Good for you for standing your ground and no longer getting treated like a doormat. I'd suggest cutting them off entirely financially. The ball is in their court if they want to turn the relationship around. You've done enough. I feel so bad for your husband being treated like that. It does make me wonder how many people influenced him, or if he organically began being such an a-hole. My dad has personally picked all of my siblings' spouses. When I was 20, I had a boyfriend who I believed was the love of my life. I wanted to marry him, but my dad didn't approve. He didn't like his family, didn't like his career aspirations, and didn't think he was man enough. He ended up driving him away. After that, I vowed to myself that I would never marry the man my dad picked for me. When I met my current husband, my dad hated him at first, which just made me like him more. We've been married for close to 2 years, and our relationship is really good. My dad did a complete 180 after we got engaged, and he started treating my husband really well. I assumed it was because he realized that no matter what he said or did, I would marry him. I'm currently staying with my older sister, and she said something that makes me suspect that they both ran a long con on me, and everyone but me knew. I was telling her how I was surprised by the fact that my dad really liked my husband, and she said, "You're not that stupid, right? Dad wanted you to marry him from the start." I told her she was wrong and that my dad didn't even know my husband until I introduced them, and she gave me a look like I was really dumb. I tried to ask her for more information, but she told me to just forget it. I get this isn't much to go on, but I just have a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach right now. I have a good marriage. I'm genuinely happy, but I also feel extremely angry right now. I go home in 2 days, and I want to confront them both, but I don't know what to say. I also don't want to cause issue, in case it isn't true, and I'm misunderstanding. What do I say? Instead of confrontation, just make it a question. Sometimes, it is better to not put someone on the defensive. Explain to your husband the conversation with your sister, and how you thought your dad hated him, and she didn't, and just talk it out. 5 years ago, I had a shotgun marriage to someone I had only known for 6 months, but who I had an amazing connection with. Our families were equally unhappy, and they all tried to persuade us it wasn't a good idea. Things fell apart after I had a stillbirth. It was horribly traumatic for both of us, and I ended up in a psychiatric facility at my family's insistence. I was there for almost a year, and when I got out, my family told me my husband regretted marrying me and had divorced me while I was away. They said he asked me to never contact him again because it was too painful for him. I really loved him, so I didn't want to be the reason for any more pain, so I respected his wishes. He also never tried to contact me as far as I was aware. So when I received divorce papers at my parents' house 2 weeks ago, I was shocked and confused. I immediately asked my parents why he was divorcing me a second time, and they made it out like he was just an awful person who was playing a cruel, sick joke on me. It was only after I contacted my older sister that I found out the truth. He had never divorced me and wanted to see me in the hospital, but my parents convinced him that I hated him and didn't want to see him. She said he had tried for months to see me, but eventually gave up after my parents used my phone to tell him a lot of horrible things. I confronted my parents, and they denied it at first, but eventually admitted it was all true. They claimed they were doing what was best for me. I'm so lost on what to do now. I was living with my parents, but I couldn't stand to look at them and listen to how they did it to protect me over and over again. So I moved in with my aunt. I don't know if contacting my husband is a good idea. He's probably moved on, which is why he's finally pursuing a divorce. And I don't want to cause any problems for him. I'm just so lost and need guidance on what to do from here. How do I move past this? Do I contact my husband? Honestly, any and all advice is welcome at this point. You have to talk to him for your peace of mind. You need to A. Tell him the truth of what happened, and B. Let him know how you feel. Be prepared for him to be angry, upset, or indifferent. Also, be prepared for him to be a completely different person to whom you remember. You'll both have changed a lot. My 24 female brother 38 male, and I have a bad relationship since I started dating his friend, 38 male. At first, he didn't care much, but when we decided to get married, he changed completely. He is always insulting me and telling me that I'm a bad mom because I'm young and that I'm an idiot. He even humiliated me in front of our whole family by telling me that I was disgusting for breastfeeding my son and daughter. They are only a few months apart, at the same time. So I decided to cut him off, and since then, we only see each other at family meetings. And in the last one I attended, he and my husband had a horrible fight because he got mad when my daughter, who is learning to walk, broke a special glass that he had given to our mother. Of course, I apologized, and my mom told me that it was okay, that there was no problem. But he started yelling at me that I don't even know how to raise my daughter well, that I'm stupid, and that the only thing I can do is spread my legs to older men. After that, I didn't attend any family meetings again because I'm tired of his behavior, and I don't want my kids to have to listen to the horrible things he thinks about their mom. 2 days ago was my dad's birthday, and I didn't attend because he had invited him too. I told him that I wanted to go visit him in the morning and that he could go at night, but he said no because he wanted to see all his children together. I told him that what my brother says about me all the time hurts and that I don't want to see him anymore. But he just justified him by saying that I should be more understanding, that he's just jealous because his little sister has a family and he doesn't. His wife had a miscarriage just when my daughter was born, and that one day he will apologize to me, that I have to give him some time to heal, but I already gave him a whole year and he didn't change. I told him that I wasn't going to go, and I didn't go, and the rest of the family started to tell me that I should go because my dad is a sick person and that we don't know when his last birthday will be, that I could simply have ignored him, but ignoring him is not easy, and I'm tired of him. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. So, essentially, your family thinks you should allow yourself to be abused in front of your children and subject your children to verbal abuse because your brother is sad his wife had a miscarriage over a year ago. This does not seem fair to me. Tell them you will attend after that apology he's going to give. If he continues his abuse, remove yourself from your family. You don't owe your brother anything after the way he treats you. So, ever since I was a child, my dad was never in the picture. It was only my mom, my brother, my sister, and I. We never saw our father, not once. My mom always told us it was because he wanted children, but he didn't want to take care of them. So basically all my life, I grew up hating my father, along with my brother. My sister is more level-headed than my brother and I, so she must have known Mom's story was BS from the start. Pardon my language, I'm just so upset right now and having tons of emotions. My sister was always the one to ask my mom more about my father, but my mom was always avoiding them or acting upset. She always said things like, "He's not a good man. I don't want to talk about him. Your father was a mean man. He forced me to have you three." That one always kinda hit home if I ever heard her say it. I dealt with self-doubt back then, and I still do. After a few years though, my sister dropped it because it never got anywhere. My mother is stubborn as hell, and as I said before, avoided questions about my father. Whenever I asked about him, she said I was just too young to know, which I can understand, a little. So, skip about many years and many birthdays. I'm going through some mail from Mom because she's out of work. She's an essential worker during these times, so she goes to work, just not her normal hours. It's all the normal stuff, until I see a letter. From a man with the same exact last name as me. What the duck? Shocked as hell. I'm trying to think of who this may be. Maybe she got someone else's mail. Maybe the mail person just gave us the wrong stuff. After a while, I decide, screw this, I'm curious, and open the letter. I'll keep it vague because it was long as hell. But the gist of it was that this man was begging my mother to finally let him see his children, that he had gone for so long without seeing them, and he wanted to meet them, that she just can't keep ignoring him while getting child support for the youngest. At this point, I can't even keep reading because I'm so in shock. I call down my brother. He's currently living with us during COVID-19. He has a job that allows him to work from home, customer service. Hand the letter to him. He reads it, and he gets pissed. He drags me over to the couch, and I'm scared, thinking he's gonna blow on me for reading random mail. Turns out, no, he's not. He's actually gonna tell me about our dad. Turns out, our dad never wanted to not have children. He always had the idea of becoming a family man and settling down. Meanwhile, my mother just wanted kids to have child support and take money from a man. Don't know if this is true or not, as it is coming from my brother, who resents her currently. My mom and dad apparently got married pretty early, and also started out as parents a while later. First, they got my brother, and then my sister, and then me. So after mom's master plan was complete, she divorced my father and put in a thing for child support. No clue what it's called, since I'm not well into law and don't pay attention to details like that. Since my dad's income was higher at the time, the court ruled in my mom's favor. They also gave all custody rights to her, and none to my father. So to keep her scheme going, she fed lies to my siblings, who in turn fed the lies to me. Not by malice, but cause they were heartbroken that their father just left them in a snap. But this all came to a head about 2 years ago, when my brother got a message from my father on Facebook. My father somehow found my brother, and the two started to talk. And my brother asked him, "Why did you ignore us all those years and never try to talk to us?" And it turns out, our father has a damn good explanation for that. He had been sending letters and birthday cards to us, including some to our mom. But mom never even let us know they existed, and just threw them out because she didn't want us on his side. That's why our father got in contact with us. He tried to, but our mom never allowed it. This was all so shocking to me, as I always thought our mom was right. I thought she was a saint, an angel for raising us 3 kids. Yet here I am, learning about the fact she's been lying to me all my life. My brother lets me think this through and told me to not tell our mother we talked about this. But me, being a hormonal teenager and way too hot-headed, I confronted our mother the second she got home. And it was glorious. Not. At first, she was denying everything, saying my brother was making stuff up. Then she got angry I was going through the mail until I pointed out that it's a chore literally assigned to me. All of a sudden, our mom was dismissive and said, "We can talk about it another time." I ducking blew up at that. I yelled at her that she had no right to just dismiss this and tell me we'll talk about it later. This man is my father, whether or not he's in my life, and I want answers. Our mom got angry at me then and said I shouldn't be yelling in her house, and that she had every right to not talk about my father. Pretty soon, our fight escalated into full-on yelling, with me crying through my anger and our mom just repeatedly reprimanding me. Eventually, my sister and brother came down and took us apart, letting us calm down. It took a bit, but we were finally civil, to a point, to have a conversation. We had a chat about it, and our mom's story was pretty different. She told us that while at first my father was a very loving family guy, he became bored of our mom and started seeing other women. My father became even more turned off when my mom had me, which made her upset but tried to stay happy for our sake. But when he filed for divorce, all bets were off. My sister called her on a ton of nonsense because apparently she had also been in contact with my father the past few months. At this point, I have no clue what to say, and I just get up and walk to my room. I've been in here for the past hour or so, and our mom keeps knocking, begging for me to come out so she can explain. I don't want to talk to her right now, cause my head is spinning. My sister and brother have just been texting me, asking me if I'm alright and all that. I've asked them for advice, but they haven't given any. But at the same time, I'm not sure if I want their advice, cause they've been keeping my father away from me, just like my mom. At this point, I have no clue what to do. I just really want some advice on how to move on and what to do. I don't know what to do at this point, and it's stressing me out a bit. This is such a difficult situation. There is often truth in both sides. Not accusing either of your parents, but trust your gut and your siblings. I hope you get to see your dad soon, and I hope your mom starts to act like an adult and respect your feelings. I would be so hurt by finding out she hid things he sent you. Your feelings are completely valid. I found out last year that my husband has been having an affair for 5 years, and I believe this woman is a psychopathic narcissist who was able to financially dominate him into giving her over $200,000 over the course of the affair. Half of that money belongs to me, as my husband and I co-own a business together. But I was told by a lawyer that I cannot sue her for this, since he gave it to her willingly. In my intense grief and anger, I sent her 2 signed letters expressing how I felt and how she ruined my life and destroyed our family. We have 3 children. She is a life coach, and I also sent anonymous letters to her clients telling them what she did and to warn them against doing business with her. She is now suing me and saying that those letters have caused her a great loss of business and emotional distress. I am not well versed at all in civil law, so I don't know how good a chance she has in winning this case. Should I also be suing her for emotional distress, since she single-handedly ruined my relationship, my family, my mental health, and the mental health of my children, who are also suffering from extreme distress, depression, and anxiety because of what's happened? I desperately need advice about what I can do to protect myself from this person who is intent on destroying my life even further by bringing more and more baseless civil suits against me. Edit. The woman knows my family very well. She worked at our family business for a number of years. First thing first, have you actually been served, or did she just threaten to sue you? If you've been served, and assuming this is above small claims territory, you need to get a lawyer to defend the suit. The good news is that emotional distress is usually something people think they can successfully sue over, but it usually isn't. As far as lack of business, it depends on the content of your letters to her clients. So long as your letters were truthful, you should be fine. Your lawyer can review the letters and tell you more. I wouldn't focus on countersuing. Just like her mental distress claims are likely legally impotent, so would yours be. It sucks that this is happening to you, but should probably talk to somebody to work through the emotional dimensions and best prepare yourself to get on with your life.